By now, Sammy had less than a year left in his active duty contract, and by the end of September, he read the flight roster and found that he was on the first flight back to Camp Pendleton. His second tour was ending. This time the flight stopped in Italy and Ireland before flying directly to California, and Sammy and his friends descended back to Earth with none of the bravado they'd felt after their first mission. They walked into an empty shop in Pendleton, since half the men were still in Iraq, and this meant that they had little to do. Sammy called his parents, and they flew out to visit him. As a corporal with no expenses for the last 6 months, Sammy had a sizable little egg nest, and he was now itching to spend. He wanted to see his parents, and he knew exactly what car he desired. He took his parents to the dealership with him and pointed to an Acura, a $36,000 model, while his parents tried to talk him out of his choice. "Sammy," his mother pleaded, "what are you doing? Why do you want such an expensive car? Do you really want to spend $16,000 just on the down payment?" "Hell yeah," he roared. The car was his reward, his symbol of achievement, and he had been working toward this goal for 3.5 long years. When he had walked into the dealership, he saw his baby, red 2004, with a light interior, wood grain paneling, and a kick-ass navigation system. It was love at first sight. Anna came out a couple of weeks later, and Sammy took a week off to spend with her, but he was scared about her arrival. He'd been worrying about their relationship since he was in Iraq, and found out that he was coming home. Even though they'd been a couple for 2 years, he knew that they had never spent more than 3 weeks together with her. What would it be like now? He was going to be home for good. She had always been so supportive, and he'd missed her so much. But would things change? As soon as she came out, though, and he saw her, it was as if they'd never left each other. Not even for breakfast. They drove all around Southern California in his new car, eating too much food and laughing over every silly little thing. Sammy felt good. He knew that things with Anna were going to be all right. But he wasn't so sure about the rest of his life. By May, his contract would be up, and he didn't know what the transition to civilian life would be like. What kind of job was I going to find, he wondered. Now I have a car payment, but I need to go to school. I'm 23 years old. I don't want to live at my parents' house. I want to live by myself. What am I going to do? He even thought about an option he had discarded long ago, re-enlisting. His superior officers pushed the idea hard in front of him, and the prospect flashed with attraction. He had learned his equipment maintenance job from scratch, and he'd been cited for personal achievement for best equipment maintenance in the entire company. He started thinking, maybe I can make a career out of this. I could switch jobs, get a more technologically oriented job that would prepare me better for the outside world. If you re-enlist, they promise you better choices, better jobs, better living conditions. His father thought it was a fine idea, but Sammy's mother put her foot down. "Sammy," she told him quietly over the phone after she had finished shrieking, "we want you home." She said she understood he was concerned about resuming his life. "But don't worry about it. Whatever you need, we're there to help you." Then Anna told him of her opposition to the idea, and that put an end to the madness and the folly of the moment. He thought about the emotional and mental stability of his family, and that was more important to him than anything the military could offer. Nor did he want to make the same mistake twice. He had entered the Marines basically on a whim, and here he was, about to re-enlist on a wing and a prayer. About a year later, his younger brother, in a fit of emulation, also signed up with a recruiter in Brooklyn. When Sami discovered this, he went ballistic. He marched his brother down to the recruiting office and had them undo the signature. "What's the matter?" the recruiter fought with Sami. "Aren't you proud to have served your country?" "Don't even fucking start with me," Sami flung back. "I served my country. I was there. That's a lot more than sitting behind a desk lying to kids."